Good morning, students. We have already done a UV spectroscopy. The instrument, what is the principle of UV spectroscopy? Then its instrumentation, then its type of band we get or type of signal we get in UV spectrum. Now, what type of solvents must be used in UV spectrum? It should be transparent in the UV region, that is, the solvent must not absorb in the UV region, that is between the given range that we have already discussed, that is 200 to 400 nanometer. Example, if we take ethanol, 95% ethanol and N-hexane, these are mostly used. These both are do not absorb in the UV region, and when fine vibration spectrum in this spectrum is required, then we generally use these hexane or cyclohexane. For in general we use ethanol, 95% ethanol and N-hexane, but if we require fine vibrational structures, very fine structures, very detailed spectrum of the compound, then we use hexane or cyclohexane as a solvent. So solvent should have no effect on the fine structure of absorption band. We must take care of the solvent must be of this type. Example, if we take in the spectrum of phenol, if we take ethanol as a solvent or isooctane as a solvent, in the polar solvent, that is ethanol is polar, if ethanol is taken as a solvent with phenol, then hydrogen bonding will be formed, and this will interfere with the fine structure, and the fine structure of absorption will disappear. So we will not be able to get the fine structure of phenol. Similarly, if we take non-polar solvent, that is isooctane, isooctane will have no hydrogen bonding with the phenol, therefore the fine structure is observed and we will have no interference of the solvent. So third is, the solvent should not change the wavelength of absorption of any absorption band, that is, it should not interfere with the wavelength of absorption of organic compound. That is, example, if we are taking the spectrum of acetone, if acetone is dissolved in hexane, then the absorption band occurs at 279 nanometer. If we are using ethanol as a solvent, then it is around 272 nanometer, and if it is in water, then the acetone absorption band will appear at 264.5. So while taking the spectrum of acetone, we should take care which type of solvent we are using or which solvent we are using, so that we have an idea to add or subtract that compound's wavelength. So next is, when we have already known about the solvent, now we must know the types of electronic transitions in an organic compound. In an organic compound, there are 4 types of transitions: sigma to sigma star, N to sigma star, pi to pi star, and then N to pi star. In all these transitions, we can see here the energy of sigma is lowest, then of pi, then of non-bonding orbital, then of pi star anti-bonding orbitals, and then sigma anti-bonding orbitals. So this is the increasing order of their energies, and in this the electrons may excite from sigma to sigma star. That is, we have already done that there are 4 types of transitions. So sigma to sigma star, sigma to pi star, N to sigma star, pi to pi star, N to pi star. So there are so many types of transitions. We will be discussing 4 of these And in this, as we already know, sigma and pi are bonding orbitals. So positive will overlap. In this, positive are on the same side, negative are on the same side. These are the bonding orbitals, and this is a non-bonding orbital, and this is anti-bonding pi orbital. That is again opposite signs are opposite to each other, and in this anti-bonding orbital they repel each other. So we have different types of orbitals, and the types of transitions possible are generally 4 types. That is, we have already discussed: sigma to sigma star, n to sigma star, pi to pi star, n to pi star. Let us take them in detail. So first is sigma to sigma star. Sigma to sigma star means these are the sigma electrons will excite. Sigma electron means this will be the electrons which are forming single bond. So in this, electron is excited from sigma bonding orbital to sigma star anti-bonding molecular orbital. So these transitions are called sigma to sigma star transitions. And sigma to sigma, it means these will be shown by only saturated hydrocarbons. Saturated hydrocarbons have single bond. Single bond requires more energy to break, or in this electron to get excited, so requires high energy. And high energy, as we know, energy is inversely proportional to wavelength, so occur at short wavelength or at high frequency, and usually found in vacuum or far UV region. That is from generally 190 nanometer to 400 nanometer, but it is far UV region, so it is around 200. So as we take up example, methane has, so sigma to sigma star transitions. Example, methane absorb at 125 nanometer, and then propane absorbs at 135 nanometer, and cyclopropane absorbs 195 nanometer wavelength. And in this, cyclopropane and propane have a difference of absorption, because cyclopropane has a cyclic ring and only 3 carbons are present in a ring, so it have angle of strain, so it absorbs at higher wavelength, 195 nanometer. Higher wavelength means short, lower energy, because angle of strain is present, so it can easily, ring can easily break, so it absorbs at higher wavelength, 195 nanometer. It can be shown as, this is a single bond or 2 electrons forming a single bond, and in this one electron, this electron is shown here, that is, it gets excited to higher level, that is anti-bonding orbital. And similarly, in the second transition, that is n to sigma star transitions, as the name indicates, the electron from the non-bonding electron gets excited to the anti-bonding sigma orbital. That is, non-bonding electron to excited sigma star anti-bonding molecular orbital, and transitions are called n to sigma star transitions. And these will occur where non-bonding electron means lone pair of electrons are present, that is generally present in heteroatoms. So these occur in compounds which contain heteroatoms like oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, halogen, etc. Because all these atoms have lone pair of electrons on it, which are non-bonding electrons, and these require lower energy than sigma to sigma star, require low energy than sigma to sigma star, because in sigma to sigma star, sigma electron has to get excited, but here non-bonding electron is going to excite, is going transition. And lower energy means apparently longer wavelength than the sigma to sigma star transitions. Example, methyl chloride absorbs at 173 and it has epsilon 100, that is intensity is 100, and methyl iodide absorbs at 258 nanometer, because in this bond is weak than this bond is weak, so it requires less energy to break. Less energy means higher wavelength. Less energy means higher wavelength, and here the bond is strong. It requires more energy to break, more energy to excite the electron, and in this also we can say the Cl is more electronegative, so it is more strongly bonded, and in this electron will be difficult to excite or will require more energy to get excited to higher level. So in this lower wavelength, but in this iodide is less electronegative as compared to chlorine, so in this electron will be easily excited or transition will easily take place, so less energy, that is more wavelength. And similarly in amines and alcohols, if we compare, amines absorb at longer wavelength than the alcohols, because again if we talk about nitrogen and oxygen, oxygen is more electronegative, it is more electronegative, so the electron will not be easily get excited or will not undergo transition, therefore more energy required, lower wavelength, as energy is inversely proportional to wavelength, and in this it is less electronegative. It means the electron transition will require less energy. Less energy means higher wavelength. So in methanol 195 nanometer wavelength is absorbed, in this 227 nanometer wavelength is absorbed and electron transition takes place. In this, if it is in acidic medium, this hydrogen will take up this lone pair and it will be positively charged, so in this it will have lower energy and higher wavelength, and it can be shown as this. This is heteroatom attached to the carbon, and this one bond will more be present, and this electron will get excited or will show transition, and transition is shown as this electron is moved to this carbon, that is it is excited to higher state. And then third comes the pi to pi star transition. In this, as name indicates, pi electron will get excited to pi star antibonding orbital, and pi electrons are present in where multiple bond is present. Multiple bond means double or triple bond. So in this, pi electron is excited to an antibonding pi star molecular orbital and are called pi star transitions, and these occur in, as we know, pi electrons are present in unsaturated compounds, occurs in unsaturated compounds containing double, triple and aromatic compounds. Aromatic compounds also have double bonds, and these require large amount of energy, and these they require large amount of energy. It means they occur at shorter wavelength, and thus intensity of transition is usually very high, and this will be discussed in detail further. So pi to pi star transitions occurs in unsaturated compounds, require large amount of energy, occur at shorter wavelength, intensity is usually very high. Example is saturated aldehydes and ketones. Saturated aldehydes and ketones show absorption band of high intensity at 185. Now saturated aldehydes or ketones means these have C double bond O bond, C double bond O, that is multiple bond, so it absorbs at 185 nanometer. And similarly, if we take unconjugated alkenes. Suppose first example, ethene, it absorbs at 175 nanometer, and simple alkynes, that is if we talk about ethyne, it absorbs at 170 nanometer. So the compounds with multiple bonds show pi to pi star transitions in the range. Aldehyde ketones in the range 185, then alkenes 175, alkynes 170 nanometer. We can show this carbon-carbon. These two electrons represent a single bond, that is these are two bonds. These are pi electrons, and these electron 1 is excited to highest state, that is it is shown as here. This is single one electron and this is the excited electron. So in this polysters n to pi star transitions, in this, as the name indicates, we have non-bonding electron gets excited to pi star anti-bonding molecular orbital, and these type of transitions are called n pi star transitions. And as from here we can judge it is non-bonding electron, it moves to pi star anti-bonding orbital. It means multiple bond will be present and the lone pair of electron will also be there in the molecule. So these occur in compounds containing double bond between carbon and some heteroatoms like C double bond O, C double bond S, N double bond O, etc. And these requires minimum amount of energy out of the four transitions we have talked about. And if minimum amount of energy, it means it will occur at longest wavelength compared to the four types, and in this intensity of absorption is very low. This will be discussed further. An example is C double bond O group of saturated aldehydes and ketones show weak absorption at 280 to 290 nanometer. This shows the n pi star. Difference between pi to pi star and n pi star is n pi star transitions are weak absorptions and pi to pi stars are strong absorptions. That is, in weak absorptions epsilon value is low, and in strong absorptions, as we have this done here, that intensity of these transitions is usually very high, that is epsilon value is high in this case, that is in pi to pi star transitions. So what is the main difference between pi to pi star and n to pi star, we will discuss further. So this can be shown as double bond O. O has oxygen has two lone pairs, so this one electron as shown gets excited to this carbon, which represents n to pi star transition. So these are the four types of transitions. In these four types of transitions, we will be mainly dealing with last two transitions, that is pi to pi star and n to pi star transitions. These two transitions we will be discussing in detail, or we can say these two transitions are important for us in the UV region. If we see the four types of transitions, the energy diagram here, out of we are concerned with only two transitions, that is pi to pi star transition and n to pi star transition. Out of these, if we see its length, the arrow, in this arrow is longer, that is energy required is more, and these occurs at shorter wavelength, and there is less space, that is this is low, it requires low energy, and these occur at longer wavelengths. So we can see from this figure only which will require more energy, which require less energy, which require longer wavelength which require more shorter wavelength. So we will be dealing with mainly these two types of transitions in this chapter, and that is next is the selection rules, that is which type of transitions are possible. And there are certain restrictions. That restrictions are called selection rules that governs the electronic transitions. So there are two main selection rules. First is the transitions which involve changing spin quantum number, in which spin quantum number is changed, that are forbidden. Example, if we talk about singlet to triplet, in this there will be change in spin quantum number, so these are forbidden transitions. Second, the transitions in which orbitals of different symmetry are involved are also forbidden. So transitions between orbitals of different symmetry do not occur. Example, if we talk about n2 pi star, here again there is a change in symmetry of both these orbitals, so it is also forbidden. These are forbidden, so these are of low intensity. In this, value of epsilon is low. So next is, depending upon the value of epsilon, that is molar extension coefficient, as we have already done in first lecture, transition probability, that is depending upon the values of epsilon maximum, transitions are of two types. First is allowed transitions, second is forbidden transitions. We will talk about first allowed transitions. Allowed transitions are transitions in which epsilon maximum is very high, that is it has value between 10 to the power 4 to the 10 raised to the power 5, and these are called allowed transitions. Generally these are due to pi to pi star transitions, and these transitions so are strong absorption bands. Example, in this 1,3-butadiene shows a strong absorption at 217 nanometer with epsilon maximum of 20,000. So along with the value of lambda, this value is also important. By knowing its value, we can make out whether the transition is pi to pi star or it is n to pi star. If the value is high, it means it is pi to pi star transition. If this value is low, it means it is n to pi star transition. So the transitions in which the value is low, it lies between 10 to 1000 are called forbidden transitions, and these are generally due to n to pi star transitions. Example, saturated aldehydes or ketones, that is in which double bond is also present, lone pair of electrons are also present, show weak absorption and between 280 to 290 nanometer with lambda epsilon maximum less than 100. So value of this indicates whether it is a strong absorption or weak absorption, whether it is n to pi star absorption or it is pi to pi star transition. In pi to pi star transitions, both these orbitals, pi and pi star orbitals, lie in the same plane. When they are lying in the same plane, it means orbital overlap between them will be large. If this is large, so these are highly probable. So therefore they have high or say strong absorption bands. And while on the other hand, n to pi star, these both orbitals lie in different planes and they are perpendicular to each other, that is they are not in the same plane, so their overlap will not be large. This will be to very less extent. So these are not highly probable and these adsorptions occur at low intensities. So these pi to pi star, n to pi star transitions can be easily known by knowing their values of lambda and value of epsilon, that is molar extension coefficient. So next we will talk about the effect of solvents. Now in this UV spectrum we will only study pi to pi star and to pi star transitions. So in this, the effect of solvent. If these two transitions are there, what is the effect of solvent? Whether the solvent is polar or non-polar, this have immense effect on the transitions. The polarity of solvent usually shifts the position of an absorption band either towards longer wavelength or towards shorter wavelength, depending upon the type of electronic transitions involved. Mainly the transitions are n to pi star and pi to pi star. So in this we will talk about how the polarity of solvent, whether it is polar, non-polar, how will it will affect these two types of transitions. This will we start in the next lecture. So it's all about. Okay, thank you.